Hello, welcome. My name is Citizen Jones Hussein. It's in Christendom, it's called the 8th day of Christmas. But for us, it's the first day of the new year, 2018. So welcome, even as I say, Merry Christmas to you. This morning, we look at Mr. President's New Year speech, Beyond a Yearly Ritual. Now, a president's broadcast, regardless of the occasion, is a milestone event. It's a commitment speech that aggregates the hopes, aspirations, and expectations of the people. In our case, a governance-weary populace expects a presidential broadcast that will be an open sesame to a world of opportunities, more so in a land of plenty. Mr. President has spoken. Shall we attempt a breakdown of his thoughts on 2018? Let's quickly meet my guest. Dr. Tunji Abayomi is an attorney at law. He's been at the bar for a long time, and so he should know. He's also a political affairs analyst. He attempted to be governor of Ondo at the time. Is the dream still on?
3 times.
Oh, 3 times. Is the dream still on?
No.
Okay. Okay, we'll get to that.
The dream is ended.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. But we have a gentleman who is still practicing as a politician. He's a member, Lagos State House of Assembly.
He sustained his dream.
Yeah, he's sustaining his dream. Let's meet and greet Honorable Shetunji David. Shetunji David.
Shetunji David.
As the Yorubas would say, Kamari Imbalo Dodun. A Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
Let's look at Mr. President's broadcast. Dr. Abayomi, it's between the speech writers and the president's input. On a New Year day like this, if you were president, you were making a broadcast, your speech writers are there, don't you think there should be a synergy between the speech writers and the, picking the brains of the president?
I assume there was a synergy.
Okay.
Or was there a problem?
No, I'm asking.
I expect, because normally what happens is the speechwriter puts in print the thoughts of the president, and they hand it to the president to read, and then he amends the speech before presenting it to the country. I presume that the process is that the process is normally well established, not in precedence, because we are not just entering democracy. We've been in it for a while now.
Yeah.
And there are systems in place. So
I had to start like that because the title is President's Broadcast Beyond a Yearly Ritual.
Yes.
So year in, year out, Honorable David, we have broadcasts from Mr. President's and, if you like, governors.
Correct.
And so on.
Correct. And as put by Dr. Abayomi, it's expected that the speech of the president is the speech of the president. Somebody has to write it for him. He talks to them, but they are hearing the view of the president, or whether it's president or governor. Your speech cannot be alien to you. It has to be you. So when we read the speech of the president, we are reading the thoughts of the president.
Okay. Let's begin to break it down. Dr. Abayomi, President promises to reduce cost of governance. But in finding out, he's saying the problems of Nigeria are not having anything to do with the structure, but it's the process.
Well, it depends on the definition of structure and process. If the president is talking of government structures in this country, we have well-established government structures in terms of departments of government, in terms of the 3 powers, legislative, executive, and judiciary, in terms of the divisions of government, local government, state, and federal, in terms of the various departments and ministries, in terms of responsibility of the presidency and the division power within the presidency. All of those things are existing. But the problem is energizing the hopes of the people through performance by those various divisions. The problem in this country, and it needs to be emphasized, is that in this nation, we have one city of corruption and 37 centers of corruption, what we call government in Nigeria. The city of corruption is the federal government. The centers of corruption are the states.
And the FCT.
And the FCT, well, you know, FCT like a state. Those are the centers of corruption. And the reason why this nation is undeveloped is because the government structures underdevelop Nigeria because of abnormal corruption, you know, legendary corruption. That's why this nation is where it is. If you look at nations that have developed, what they do is to ensure that public resources, public wealth is particularly managed for the benefit of the people. But in this country, up until now, in part of the effort of the government, the level of corruption, particularly in the civil service of this nation, is legendary. And when we're talking of federal government, let us put it aside and go to the states. The states are so abnormal in their corruption that because of the federal system, there's very little the president can do. Is trying. So that is the, so when the president is talking of the system, I mean the process.
Yeah, rather than the structure.
Rather than the structure. If that is what he's talking about, he is correct. But again, he didn't actually give us the definition so that we know how to operationalize.
Dr. Abayomi, the Lagos State man here does not agree with you.
To a great extent, I agree with him. But what I want to say is that, in addition to this, is that we have fundamental problems in this country. The way the country is structured. People have been clamoring for
a restructuring
of the country. Yes. It's essential. We have to be sincere with ourselves. There's too much power at the center, at the federal level. And the federal, we are closer to the people here. The federal, in other federating of other countries that practice federalism, things are not operated this way, whereby you pack so much power, I mean, to the center, even education, so many trivial things that federal government can never solve. You see, look up to them for everything. So we need to be restructured this one. That's the truth.
Okay.
So, some people say that it's not in their interest. But is it individual interest that matters or the collective one? So I believe strongly that the president of the president is right, but the truth of the matter is that something is wrong with the system and with the structure.
Okay. I don't disagree with that.
Okay.
Either way, I don't disagree with
He's
that.
looking at it from another angle.
Yes, so that's why I'm talking of definition.
Yeah.
What really does the president mean? There is no doubt that in this country, the relationship of the peoples of Nigeria, which in essence should have organized a type of structure of government, is absent. And when we're talking about it, we must go back or go down to the foundation of the nation, which is the Constitution of Nigeria. I have said it again and again in this, here and everywhere, that it is not a government that gives a nation a constitution. It is a constitution that gives a nation a government. And it is not the content of a constitution that validates a constitution, it's the process of making it. If we look at the Nigerian constitution, we don't really have a constitution of the people of Nigeria. It was forced on us. As a matter of fact, every serious constitutional lawyer knows that the government, the military government, when it came into power, only gave itself legislative powers equal to that of the National Assembly. The National Assembly cannot give us a constitution. When the military came to the point of giving us a constitution, it got confused because its power is only limited to giving us law. So it tagged it decree. So in the whole world, Nigeria is the only country that constitution is a decree. Moreover, a constitution is never made into law. It is an agreement by the people. If we look at Nigeria, Nigeria is a unique nation of different nationalities, placed in different areas divinely, permanently.
Dr. Bayomi, thankfully, Shetonji is a lawmaker, even if at the state level. I imagine the difference between what they do at the state and the federal
at an
is
important state level, I would say,
okay.
because Lagos gives guidance to most states.
Do you broach what he has just said? This constitutional malaise?
I agree with him absolutely. We are talking of the military. What do we know about governance? It's an aberration for a few people who are not even elected, who brought gun to your house and took over and are making law for you. And we are calling that the Constitution of Nigeria. It's a shame. I have seen American Constitution. It's very tiny. But what we have here, there are even contradictions in the Constitution. So we need to go back to Nigerians, not the National Assembly. That is the truth. Nigerians must decide how they want to be governed.
But after 18 years going to 19, we're still vacillating. We're still playing, we are still fiddling. Aren't you worried?
I'm worried. But the truth is that because the Constitution was not made by the people, that's why we have challenges. And the challenges will remain here forever. Yes. With due respect to everybody, because we have not handled the fundamental
You are saying man-made problems cannot be solved by man?
That's why we can solve it. That's why we are clamoring for constitutional conference, or whatever name you want to call it, so that we can sit down and Nigerians sit down and make law for themselves, not the one handed over to us.
I hope it does not take us. Constitutional conference, we have had 10.
No, excuse me, listen to what he said, and it's very vital. He said the challenge will remain forever unless we deal with it.
Who are these we?
We, the people, the government. For example, look, if you look at what's the complaint about we've been on it for 16 years, is it not better too late than never? In any case, America had a confederal constitution. They came together, I think 1789 or something like that, in Philadelphia. They realized
86.
That they realized
76,
They realized that the confederal constitution was given to the nation an imperfect society, and the realization of the people was defeated through that confederal constitution. 55 people in Tocqueville, the French philosopher, said among the greatest minds in the world came together and fashioned out a constitution, brought from the people, fashioned out a constitution that has given the world the greatest nation in the world. So the point I'm making is that the important thing is for the nation to decide, and that is what he's saying. We, the people, must decide how we are to be governed. If we look at these constitutional processes in this nation, under the colonial government, we were called to Lancaster and given a constitution, what I generally call a writ of summons.
All right.
Then the military came and forced on us illegally and illegitimately. He had no power under law to give a constitution.
Dr. Bayomi,
and the constitution was a military constitution.
I won't sit here and say you've forgotten that the soldiers returned to the barracks in 1999.
Yes.
All right. We are breaking down Mr. President's New Year Day speech. We want to share his thoughts and so on. We'll go on this break and return. Great to have you still at the TV. We are tearing the bag. Mr. President has addressed the country. Gentlemen, he has a council for politicians and their kind who exploit religion and ethnicity to advantage.
It's very unfortunate that that's where we are in this country. But it's still a reflection or indication of the fact that we don't have a system that is working. So, and for that reason, because to me, the government should not be involved in anything that has to do with religion. The federal government or state government should not be involved in religious matters. But in Nigeria, we should do that. And religion, those things, it's an aberration to me. And I believe, until we change the system, because whenever we talk about the problem of this country, we still come back to the same point, which is the fact that we are together in a way that is not well defined by us.
Perhaps only on paper.
The terms of our relationship is not established.
Dr. Bayomi, but the Constitution, 1999, as amended, does not promote a state religion. It does not. It says, inter alia, there shall be no state religion. Yes. But at every government house, you have either a mosque or a church there.
Yeah, but not only that. I was in an event recently, and they asked a Christian to pray, and he protested. And they asked a Muslim to pray, and I said, a state that is not expected to have a religion is also not expected to have two religions. So the proper thing is for each person to pray according to his faith, since we're not supposed to have religion. But talking about ethnicity, the president said, warning those who are taking advantage of politicians. But isn't the Constitution itself taking advantage of it? What's the meaning of federal character? The meaning of federal character is essentially a definition, imputation of ethnicity. If into the Constitution and the arrangement of government, if this nation is united, like I said in my book, State and Citizens, we should be talking about our Nigerianity, not our Igbo-ness or Yoruba-ness or Hausa-ness and so on and so forth. But look at the beginning of Nigeria. The issue of ethnicity, the division, the separation is endemic, is foundational. So in my view, I have come to the conclusion that we cannot do away with it, but we can work with it in order to reach a more perfect society. And that is why I think the people, again, that's the point. It looks like we lawyers at least understand it. That's why I believe the people should sit, the various ethnic groups, to agree on the terms of their relationship instead of a situation where the terms of that relationship is forced on the people. We are not going to have peace, good government, or order until we face that reality. There will always be suspicion. Mutual suspicion, because the poison of religion, of ethnicity, of region,
creed and clan,
yes, will continue to dominate relationship and thoughts. All right. Until we go down to say, look, these are the issues, let us come together. What are actually the terms of relationship? And that is, when you are talking of terms of relationship in a nation, you are talking in of its constitution.
Yeah.
In this nation, like I said, we don't have a constitution. It is not a government that gives a nation a constitution, like the military gave to Nigeria. Yeah. It is a constitution that gives a nation a government. And don't forget that all the governments of this nation had been constituted before the constitution came into effect. 12 midnight, May 29, 1999. All governments have been constituted. So the constitution, from the beginning, had no relationship to the constitution of government in Nigeria.
We'll get back to that. Honorable, Mr. President plans for a comprehensive rollout and investments in roads, rail, power, infrastructure in the country. And he has talked about the Lagos-Calabar coastal line to link Ore with a number of south cities and towns, and talked about the Abuja connection too by rail. Ambitious?
Very good. Very good. Because one of the major infrastructures that is hindering our progress is we cannot commune easily among this, among the cities, among the towns and villages in this country. I mean, for instance, you are going to Abuja now by road. It's a problem for you. You want to go to Kano by road. And people in other places, it happens like that. So it's a good ambition, and I pray we work towards it, because one of the challenges we have already been having is the fact that we have projects that, most of our projects become moribund, and we don't put in the same zeal that is expected, or that, I mean, especially we're talking of, I mean, the president have articulated his points now regarding to that, which is fantastic. I hope we achieve it within the time frame. So it's a good development as far as I'm concerned.
Hope is a good breakfast, not a good dinner. Dr. Bayomi, Mr. President touched on power generation. He has talked about the country ramping up to 7,000 megawatts, but the problem remains that of transmission, and transmission is vested in the federal government.
Well, obviously, I think generation is also a problem, but transmission, obviously, is a more serious problem. Because if we generate, regardless of what you generate, and you cannot transmit, obviously it won't be to the benefit of the people, the consumers. But let me go a little bit back to this issue of coastline.
Yeah.
One of the most developmental possibilities in nation is coastal development of the coast. We will look at most nations that are bordered by the sea and so on and so forth. The transformation that is brought about by coastline development is immense. If we take my state, Ondo State, and Lagos, the relationship, if, for example, there is synergy between those two states, they can promote great development that will affect the entire southern part of this nation. And moreover, between Ondo State and Lagos State, you can develop coastal development, road, and so on and so forth. On the sea, it will only take 45 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, just 45 minutes between Ilaje and Ekwe and so on and so forth. But now we have to take something like 6 hours.
A circuitous route.
Yes, and difficult and impossible roads. Now, it's even cheaper to maintain the development on the seas, transportation on the seas, than, for example, to maintain roads. And you can even use cargo. For example, in Ondo State, we have deep sea port. And I understand that it's in fact the best in the entire West Africa. It's a natural port that can promote what is called master ships and so on and so forth.
But Dr. Abayomi,
all of these things
potentially great.
All of these things is left undeveloped because the Nigerian government...
Deliberately?
Yes, because Nigerian government, the people in Nigerian government continue to chop people's money, the money that ought to be used for development, and in essence continue to underdevelop us. And we don't have government that can fight for the people. The common man in Nigeria has no friends in governments of Nigeria. That is why the people are poor.
You don't have any.
You said?
You don't have any friend in government.
People don't have, we don't. We, the ordinary people, have no friends in government. The only way we can say we have friends in government is if we have roads to use, if we have food to eat, if we have hospital, if we have power, electricity. How can a nation develop without power? It is impossible. A barber cannot even work without power.
Yeah.
Neither the pepper grinder. Everything is now based on power in modern times. And in this nation, we have nothing. Now surgery is done by robotics. The world is advancing. And we are still at the elementary stage. So something needs to be done radically.
Elementary stage by choice.
Correct.
Honorable Mr. President vowed that oil marketers who have subjected Nigerians to harrowing experiences during Christmas time and in the new year would be dealt with. You trust him?
sorry, before I answer that question,
Yeah.
I want to say something a little about the power issue.
Okay.
We thank God for Lagos State. The governor of Lagos State, Mr. Akin Mambode, has come up with an idea of solving problem of power in Lagos State. We tagged it embedded power, and we are working on assiduously towards that. It's in the budget, and I want to assure you that in Lagos,
we hope there won't be any legislative gymnastics.
Obviously, that won't be. We are all working in concert. We are working together, the legislative arm of government and the executive arm of government in Lagos. That's why we are moving forward. I can assure you that we are finding a way around the issue of power in Lagos State.
Okay.
Going to the question,
the issue
asked,
of dealing with oil marketers and cabal.
It's unfortunate that we are still at the same point. I mean, the oil marketers cannot be above the government. We have a government in place. We are not in the jungle where a few people can just ridicule the whole federal government. I mean, it's a ridicule. So I thank the president for what he has said. I hope, because we have been hearing this for a long time. It's unfortunate, but I believe the man at the helm of affairs now is a man of his words. So for that reason, I can assure you that at the end of the day, this is
it can only rely on a team that's in tandem with him.
Yes. Yes, but again, you may not have the majority, we may not have, we may not have everybody in tandem with the government, but a leader controls the philosophy of leadership.
Yeah.
And a strong leader ensures that that philosophy becomes the operational code of government. I think the government, at least Buhari, is trying, because if you know the state of this nation, it's really tragic, because we're talking of a nation where past government just spent money. Idea of budgeting does not exist at all. The money is available, just spend it. Everywhere, it was a mess, a mess. There were instances that I mean, people were talking of first lady, something lady. At a point, I said, how about a first nation? Is nobody talking about it? How can you have a nation where the leadership in government does not even think of its responsibility?
All right, Dr.
So,
Abayomi, let me take Joseph from Abia State. Happy New Year to you. Joseph, are you there? Better luck next time.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Yeah, I'm here. Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, gentlemen.
We greet you.
Yeah, good morning.
Please, I want to talk to Doc.
Yes.
Don't listen to your...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I want to talk to Doc, because Doc said that the Constitution of 1979 was designed.
Yes.
Doc said that the Constitution of 1979 was designed by the military. I want to say no. Utterly, that Constitution was designed by the appointed civilians. That was Rosamond Gilliam of Supreme Court, and other judges find in different places, and other important personnel, civilians that are not military in nature, that design it. Even
okay.
He confuses, he doesn't understand the issue. The military constituted the body to draft the Constitution. The Constitution was returned to the military.
But his counter logic is that those who drafted were not military.
No, that's not the issue. The issue is not, the way a constitution is constructed. The people choose their representatives. It's their constitution. They give power to delegates, constitutional delegates. That's what it's called constitutional convention. And this constitutional convention comes together from the people, and they agree on the terms of that constitution, and usually return it to the people. Now, in the case of the Nigerian constitution, the military constituted the body to make a constitution. And then that constitution was returned to the military, and the military altered it as it wanted and decreed it.
So we are talking about entrenched interest here, Honorable.
Correct.
Quickly, I think the caller who was a big favor by allowing us leapfrog through the high points of Mr. President's speech. He appealed to enterprising Nigerians with ideas and unemployed graduates and other able-bodied and literate Nigerians with ideas not just to sit down and expect job from government, but mine is there must be an enabling environment.
Absolutely. Yes. There will be enabling environment. You send people to school. The government, the curricula was created by the government, and the students chose their courses of study based on that. Now, after you have produced them, you're now asking them to go and look for jobs. They do train them for those jobs. I mean, what kind of training did you give them in the schools? That is one. What kind of orientation did you give them in the school? That is one. Number two, I have had a case of a number of people with first class from the university coming looking for a job, which had never happened before. At the same time, you will now see people who had passed or third class having jobs because of federal character thing, which Doctor mentioned earlier. Those things don't, I mean, you cannot expect, we do respect everybody, patriotism for those kind of people. They feel disadvantaged. They feel cheated that after you have done so well in the school, somebody who was not doing well, if it's the natural environment, no qualms. But the government laying emphasis on some areas, slowing down some areas for these are the issues that we are talking about.
Honorable, let me quickly take a Nigerian living in Ghana. I imagine he's enjoying his stay there. His name is Maxwell. Happy New Year to you, Maxwell. Welcome.
Happy New Year, sir, Mr. James,
yeah.
And Happy New Year to Oga Abayomi and the other
Honorable David.
Yes, thank you. Happy New
Year.
So
see what I listened to the president when he was saying, but it's a routine, it's a ritual. But going beyond that, I expected Mr. President to say something about the herdsmen that has been marauding the whole nation and taking people. He did not mention about the herdsmen, the killer herdsmen, in Nigeria in his speech. And another thing I would like to say is that it's a very shameful thing that most of us outside here are looking at Nigeria, at least to take the leadership, responsibility in Africa. But what do we see? They are backwards. There are some kind of lackadaisical attitude towards, implementing some of the things that are supposed to make Nigeria, a nation to envy about. In Ghana here, we are talking of Nigeria celebrating 7,000 megawatts of electricity. Yes. But Ghana here, you can use your electricity here for the past 6 going to 1 month. There is no power outage. Is Ghana richer than Nigeria? The bane of the problem in Nigeria
Maxwell,
is just corruption.
Maxwell, that's it. Maxwell, we got you first time. So what more can I add to that? So he is Nigerian, but enjoying the better life, so to speak, in Ghana because of entrenched interest here.
But you're talking of enabling environment.
Yes, enabling
One of the
environment.
most fundamental enabling environment is to provide power for the people. You can't do anything. This last time when we didn't have electricity, I was in Akure for 1 week. There was no fuel and there was no power, no electricity. So a whole week you can call it a week of disaster. So one of the most important duties of government is to provide the necessary enabling environment for economic development. What is a young person supposed to do when you can't work with any modern tool without power? That's the point. There are lots of our children that are well trained. I have some of them, well trained outside this country in some of the best universities. They come to this country, there's nothing to do. There must be some kind of structure. You can't place something on nothing and expect it to stand.
Do you subscribe to the school of these conspiracy theorists who keep telling us about generator barons and diesel merchants?
All of that are trivial. The important thing is that power in this country should be decentralized. The structure of government should not be monopolized by the federal system. You need to have a situation where there is competition. It is said that competition is the trade of life and the life of trade. There's a need for competition. There's a need for healthy rivalry between the peoples in terms of development agenda. There's a need for develop priorities and options by the different people. We cannot have a situation where everything is controlled by the central government and everything is messed up.
So brings us back to this structure thing. The unitary decree number 34 was signed in 1966 by the late JTU General Ironsi. It's still in operation. But you have lawmakers like you congregate at the state and federal level, you are not giving any thought to it. Is it a hopeless, helpless situation?
You see, the system we run is giving a problem. We have said that
run by human beings, we said, and the problem is not devil-made; it's man-made.
It's man-made. Obviously, it's man-made. But we have not come up with the idea. We are not convinced, especially at the federal level, that we need to change that system. That's why we are here.
The
people at the federal, because we are not at the state level, and I've said here that our constitution is a stumbling block for progress.
Yeah.
For individual development at the state, at the regional level. So what we are saying is that at the state level now, we can't change the federal constitution. The little we can do in Lagos, we are working at the Lagos State House of Assembly.
We hear that all 36 speakers of state assemblies congregate once in a while. So what do they discuss there?
Yes, there is still a division among them.
Division?
Yeah, in the sense that those in the southern part of Nigeria have agreed that we need some fundamental changes in the constitution. Those from the northern part of Nigeria are working against that. That's why there was a time, I can't remember.
Do they advance reasons for their position?
It's just selfish interest, not the interest of the country.
They like to preserve their privileged position.
That is it. It's unfortunate. I'm not taking us anywhere. I have said it earlier. It's not going to take us anywhere. If
so are we damned?
Well, I don't want to say so. I believe with time, they will still reason why we need to do those changes.
The National Assembly, maybe I should just let you appreciate the situation. What he's saying is just correct. The state government can do very little, but the national government, the authority that can bring about change is the National Assembly. I explained this to the Constitutional Review Panel of the Senate in Minna. First and foremost, the National Assembly is elected by the people. They have delegated power of the people. Forget about the Constitution. Britain has no written constitution, but it has a legitimate government. Now, by the election of the electors, by their votes, the National Assembly is legitimized. That National Assembly, realizing that the people of Nigeria have no constitution, but a constitution that told a lie about itself, that said we the people, which is a lie. We didn't give it to ourselves. That constitution is a false constitution and a fraudulent constitution and an illegal and illegitimate constitution forced on us. But because the National Assembly has done nothing, we are forced to use it. Now, let me just say, what the National Assembly needs to do is very simple in exercise of its delegated power by the people. It just needs to bring about a law to enable the people of Nigeria give to itself a constitution and set the perimeters of those constitutions, the terms. How? Whether it is from different states or what or whatever. It sets it out. And in this nation, it's an easy thing because we have had so many constitutions out of which we can now formulate a new constitution and take it to the people instead of a constitution that is decreed into law and forced on us. The National Assembly asked the question, are we legitimate? How do we? I say, yes, of course, you are legitimate.
Dr.
by the
Abayomi,
votes.
this is not necessary. We have Bode in just waiting. Bode, good morning to you. Happy New Year.
Good morning. Happy New Year, sir.
Yeah, same to you.
God bless you, sir. I just want to contribute on this issue. Hello?
You are on.
Okay. I just want to say something. I have a friend about this federal character issue you are talking about. That guy has been on that level for the past 10 years. All those children, all those boys he trained in the office, they have now become his boss. Yes. The guy is dejected. The guy, the guy was telling us that when he was on level 13, those boys, they were employed on level 8. Because of federal character, they are superseding. Yes. But they still call him boss. And the guy is still on level 13. Yes. And level 14. He cannot move.
Federal character is ethnic character.
Because other people that came from other area now are his boss. And this guy graduated years ahead.
Yeah.
And he's the guy that trained them. So that's the problem we are talking about in this country. The guy receives his fee.
It's a carryover. It's a carryover. Federal character was given Philippe in the Abacha years.
It was given the Constitution. It's in the 1999 Constitution.
Yeah, it's a carryover. But I'm not necessarily putting you on the spot, Dr. Abayomi here. Honorable will be interested in this. You were an attorney of former President Obasanjo.
Yes.
He had a second chance when he came back as an elected president to have done something about the structure we are talking about.
It is interesting because there was a day we had a heated argument at the villa, and I was telling him that the Constitution, the 1999 Constitution, is a fruit of a poisonous tree. And I said the poisonous is the military. And he said the 1979 is the best Constitution. And I said, what's the difference? It's just the same. It's a fruit of a poisonous tree forced on the people of Nigeria.
What was his reaction?
Of course, he banged the door. He said I was crazy, but I wasn't crazy. The truth of the matter is that the Constitution given to us by the military is according to their thinking. That is why everything is centralized. Even schools, university, everything was taken over by the central government and messed up. If, for example, there had been division, understanding, separation, and if you have given powers to the different states or regions, this nation would have developed long ago. For example, I know in the West we would have advanced in the sciences substantially.
So
we were already competing. We were already competing in the advanced world.
Simply put, this is having to do with vested interest.
I'm not sure. Is it a question of vested interest, lack of vision? My people are destroyed for lack of vision. We had governments that had no vision for Nigeria.
Let me take Otumba Akinyojo, I guess, from Abuja. Happy New Year to you.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello, good morning.
How are you? Is that Akinyojo?
Good morning.
Yeah.
Baba Abayomi, good morning.
Good morning, Akin.
God bless you this morning.
Thank you.
I think Mr. President has spoken well this morning.
Yes.
And we need to commend him. That speech is well loaded, and I think there's a hope. Somebody mentioned the issue of light, electricity. I think for the first time in the history of this country, Nigeria is doing extremely well. For the first time in the recent time, I am celebrating Christmas and New Year with electricity. Now I am in Nigeria for less than 18 hours. I think we need to support this government. And given this chance, I think this government will go a long way in developing our agriculture. If you listen to Mr. President, well, he's talking about a new coaches that will run between Abuja and
Akinyojo, I understand. Except that 7,000 megawatts is so miserable in a country like this. But the good thing, Honorable, he talked about the Mambila Plateau, 3,056 megawatts, which can light up much of the north, had been there for over 40 years.
Yes.
If we do something, that's the question, if we do something.
Yes, if we do something, but We have not been doing something. It's been there for 40 years, as we rightly mentioned. And we just hope that this government will do the needful to ensure that the issue of power is resolved once and for all. Kudos to the president, I must confess to you. He's been here for 3 years or thereabout, and we had a government for 16 years.
You're not just saying this because you are APC.
No, I'm not just saying that.
Okay.
But this is the reality.
Okay.
I mean, we have seen the government in place for 16 years, and the problem were there. This man came in 4 years. Things are getting better.
We've gone beyond. Government is a continuum.
That's what I'm saying, that we must credit this man for what he's doing. And within a very short period, he has made some wonderful progress. So that's why we must be
honorable, I'm sitting here on behalf of the viewer. You know, Mr. President fixing roads, infrastructure is not doing us a favor. He's doing his job.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But we must credit him for doing his job. We have had a government in place for 16 years. They didn't do anything for us. So we have to commend this man. And the part is that, with due respect to everybody, we forget things so easily in this country. Before the advent of the present government, we knew what we were going through.
We lack a sense of history.
Yeah.
But I know that Okorafor in Arochukwu, Abia State has his history intact. Happy New Year to you.
Good morning, Mr. Jones. Happy New Year, Mr. Jones, and good morning, our guests in the studio.
Yeah.
You see, Mr. Jones said, honestly speaking, Mr. President's speech this New Year is touching. That is to say, he is worried at the head of state of the Federal Republic of Nigeria what is happening. Honestly, I thank him for that speech. My own solution I will give Nigerians this year is this. Let all Nigerians, Tom, Dick, and Harris, will go and read the book of Sirach, 7:1-17. You see, Nigerian government should visit our universities, as one of our guests have rightly said about our universities. Our universities are being run as a one-man business by the vice chancellors. I see no reason why in this country, if you look at what the president has just said, you summarize with him. If the universities, at least the vice chancellors should operate the way they're supposed to do, not to turn it like a one-man show. I thank our guests this morning, honorable and honestly speaking, people have tried this morning. I wish all Nigerians a happy New Year. They should read book of Sirach 7:1-17. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Okay. Do Nigerians read books? Yes. But then, Dr. Bayami, yes. Let's another aspect of the broadcast: importation of rice to stop in 2018.
Yes.
And he didn't talk about smuggling and our porous borders.
Yes. Well, I'm pretty sure they're working on that.
Okay.
You know, if we look at the revenue generated by customs, you know, through, you know, setting up structures to control.
Kudos to the man.
Yes. Yeah. So, but the important thing, the essentiality of the administration of Buhari is that he's trying to confront endemic problems of this country. It takes courage. It takes courage for government to confront things that have been taken for granted. For example, you take simple things, we're talking of corruption, you take simple things like the military. It used to be that the military can do anything, get away with it. In this country, powerful people, like, for example, the president of the Senate was untouchable in this same country. In this same country, I mean, the powerful people believe that the law is only for the weak, not for the powerful. They use the law to oppress the weak instead of to control the appetite, the illimitable appetite of the powerful. Buhari is saying, no, I'm not going to tamper with those who are dealing with the issue of corruption. Let the law take its course. Yeah. He's saying, no, I will.
You are closing your thoughts quickly.
So what I'm in essence saying is that why we must commend Buhari is the fact that he's confronting frontally
the Frankenstein.
Yes, the problems of this country
it takes more than a man to do that.
That make it impossible for the people to have the good life.
Honorable Shetonji, you just hope at a time like this, Mr. President is not a lonely marathon runner.
I don't think so.
If you get the image.
I don't. Let's look at a very minute aspect of our system. the jam.
You are closing.
Jam. I mean, we're told that since the second of jam, or since jam was created, they were able to remit about 50 million throughout those years. Yes. And within a short period of 1 year, yes, the new man at the helm of affairs is remitting billions of naira. Yeah. You can see that kind of system, that some people sat down somewhere and milk.
Not sharing the money.
Look at the issue of what do you call it, customs too. You see what is going on in customs now. That the man there has revolutionized that system.
In the customs, we now know it goes beyond wearing a uniform.
Yeah. So those are indications that this person at the helm of affairs is trying his best. Okay. We just have to cooperate with him and ensure that
TSA.
Yeah. So many
TSA,
of them
bringing all the money. They had millions of accounts before.
So
stealing, Onyoshi.
Only.
Yes.
Barawo.
Yes.
Okay.
How can you have civil servants that have 59 houses in Abuja?
No, it's all right. Dr. Abayomi and Honorable David, you agree that 1 hour won't be enough to touch on these things.
Obviously.
But let's just hope we have scratched it on the surface. Yeah. We thank you both for coming.
Thank you.
So, dear Nigerian, more like I'm closing and making it appear as another broadcast. We have gone through hell and back. Where else do we go to? The choice in 2018 is before us, making this country to stop being potentially great. It is possible. Happy New Year. Enjoy your holiday.